Well, we've re-established a connection with Shan Ramkinsoon out in the Vaal. Shan?
Yeah, Faith, I think the water is drowning us out here, but we are at the Vaal Dam and we are joined by a Water and Sanitation Department spokesperson, Sputnik Ratau. Sputnik, you're the perfect person to speak to about the water situation. We've been across the country. You're hearing municipalities say that they are facing a water crisis. How bad is it nationally?
Well, nationally, we are looking at, the dams basically dropping much quicker than they were dropping a year ago. So obviously it is a case of concern for all of us, especially because you've got more, some provinces, dropping by more than others. When you look at KZN, you look at Mpumalanga, you look at Limpopo, they are dropping by a higher rate than what we are seeing here in Gauteng as well as in the Free State.
There are still concerns about the Vaal Dam in particular because it's a critical source of water for Gauteng. We've seen a decline in water levels. We're also seeing concern about the contamination of the Vaal River. What more is being done apart from the army coming in last year to try to fix all of this?
Sometimes we forget that the Vaal Dam is but one of the 14 dams within the integrated Vaal River system. And yes, it is critical because it is the most iconic, I guess, but also it is one that is much closer to the abstraction points for rainwater. And therefore, it is one that we always look at. And what we are looking at is that the first thing is to allay the fears that the water that rainwater abstracts is part of the water that is polluted. That isn't, because rainwater abstracts upstream of where the pollution is happening. But obviously the pollution is a concern for us, and pollution not just in the Vaal River but across the country, because pollution at source is one of our main issues as a department, and that is one of the things that we are looking at across the board, including in our broad water ecosystems, our wetlands and all of those.
Yeah. So one of the other problems you're facing is ailing infrastructure, which needs to be addressed quite soon. You need millions, if not billions, for that to be done across the country. Do you have that money? When is it going to happen?
For the department, we are maintaining our infrastructure quite well. Our main concern is with municipal infrastructure, and that is the reticulation infrastructure, which is quite critical because that is what leads the water to the consumers. And that is a concern, especially in the smaller municipalities, in municipalities that do not, which are not able to garner a lot of revenue, and those that are not also able to attract and maintain capacity, especially human capacity, that is able to look after that infrastructure. So it is a big concern. That is why we have to work together with COGTA. We have to work through COGTA with MISA. We have to work with SALGA as well as provinces in order to be able to bolster those kinds of capacities. And that is why a few weeks ago Minister Sisulu did indicate that part of what we have to do is also to deploy some of our own technicians from the department in some of those critical municipalities that need that kind of assistance.
Is your department struggling given the financial message was left in by the previous administration? Scopa said that money was misused under Nomvula Mokonyane. How has that impacted the current administration in actually making sure that we don't see our taps running dry at a later stage?
Well, it's one of the things that we have been looking at very critically, and part of what we have done is to look at a financial recovery plan, working together with especially National Treasury, so that we can be able to address the issues that were raised by the Auditor General over the years, but also be able to make sure that we act within the prescripts of the PFMA, so that we can be able to get the department on a sound footing. That is part of what we are looking at, but I think one of the things that Minister is looking at as well is to come to a point where at some point there needs to be a DG that is in place, there needs to be a CFO that is in place instead of the acting people that are there at the moment.
All right, thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. Sputnik Ratau is, of course, with the Department of Water and Sanitation for the national government. Let's go to Limpopo now, and a small town there apparently hasn't had running water for up to 10 years, believe it or not. Our reporter Moloko Mulatto is following this angle of the story for us. He joins us now live. Moloko, this is something that many people in Johannesburg would be outraged by if it were happening here.
Absolutely, Shahan. In fact, some of the people in rural areas in this particular province of Limpopo, to date, they still don't have water. Now, what is even bizarre with Moyeshe, this is one of the areas in Limpopo outside Giyani, and 55 other villages around that particular area, when former President Jacob Zuma, amid much fanfare, went there to launch this Giyani bulk water project. Actually, there was a promise that things will change, but until now, there isn't much that is happening. We made a turn there today. We found that people still don't have water. Others have to push their wheelbarrows to about less than a kilometer or so to go to a communal tap. But the situation is even bigger than that, Shahan, because the Mother Nature isn't helping as well. If you look at the number of dam levels, we were told by the local water authority here, Lepelle Northern Water, that about 3 dams actually are almost empty. And as you can see where we are now, we are at Ebenezer Dam. This is a dam near Tzaneen. It actually provides the areas such as Mankweng and the city of Polokwane with water. As you can see behind me, the banks there, usually you will have water going up to that those green grasses there. And as you can see, we were told that this particular dam, Ebenezer, has gone down to below 50%. But let me bring into this conversation quickly Johan. He's the manager of the local boat club here. Johan, you've been working here for 9 years. Looking at this dam here, what do you see? The crisis, is it that serious?
It's definitely very, very, very serious. Last year, this time, the dam was standing at 70%. At the moment, it's about 33%, and it's going down by more now, 1.5% every week. So we actually only have water for, say, 30 weeks.
Yeah, and you were telling me earlier that these boats here, usually you would have them moored here, and they are now about 80 meters away from where they would usually be anchored, usually if the dam is full.
That's right, yes. I move them at least 3 times a week by 1 meter or 1.5 meters.
All right. Thank you very much, Johan. Well, Shahan, the situation as it is, it looks scary. The water authority here saying that actually if things continue like this, if you look at the fact that also people generally are also not taking serious the issues of water conservation, it may even deepen. But as we say, currently, those who are lucky, they have the water, those in suburbs and in towns. But in villages around Giyani and many other villages, specifically in Giyani, it's worrying because there a bulk water project was launched several years back. Initially, it was budgeted at around 500 million rand. To date, about 2 billion rand had been spent, and people still don't have water.
Yeah, it is a very worrying situation indeed. And of course, we've been getting more and more information about many municipalities that are quite scared about the water situation. Question is how they're all going to deal with it. And now we can speak to MMC Beki Nsele, responsible for the Emfuleni local municipality here in this area. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We appreciate it. There are concerns that you're not doing enough to deal with your infrastructure, your ailing infrastructure, to get things right in this area. What do you say to that?
Well, we are dealing with that issue now. There was a period when we were not doing well, but now, with the partnership with the national government, this is what we are doing now. The government has appointed East Rand Water Care Company, which is Ivar. That company is going to start working in December. December 1, we wanted them to start to be in pump stations all over to deal with the issue that we are facing. But also it is important to give this information that the municipality, it shows the seriousness of the situation. We even allocated our own money to this situation. 19 million is allocated this financial year to deal with the water conservation and demand. That will be a situation whereby we send people to the township to talk to people, to talk to schools about saving water, about fixing the taps, all the leakages that we are experiencing. This is what we want to deal with. In partnership with IVART, that will be possible.
Yeah. So when do we actually see your infrastructure being addressed so that we no longer have a concern like this going forward? Because you've been criticized for dragging your feet when it comes to getting it addressed.
There were quite some delays. Remember, during when IVART was appointed, there has been some delays when the soldiers came in. But now, because there was a procurement process that was taking place, but now everything is fine now. The company has been appointed, PO has been given to them. Now they are starting working. It's a process of now recruiting there and there, but by December 1, they will be in stations, starting doing the work. But also in our own, as the municipality, as I've just said, we are taking initiative, we are fixing those areas that we can fix. With the amount of money that we are having, we'll be able to deal with this issue. I think it's proper to say our people must just give us a chance to deal with this problem, because we are not denying anything. We accept that there has been some delays, there's some serious problems, but we're dealing with it.
Yeah. And how long a chance do you want people to give you? Because it's been going on for years now. You have people who are worried about contaminated water in the Vaal River who say the government's not doing enough as well. So how much of a chance do you want? It seems like it's getting to a point where it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, if in the last interview that we conducted, we estimated that by April, will be in a situation where we say the results will be clear for everyone to see, because we will start working in December, so we will spend no time delivering what we said we are going to deliver to our people, while doing what the municipality will be doing on its own. Also, IVART will be doing, assisting us in terms of fixing the network, because the pipes underground are aging. So that's a problem that we need to remember. We are losing something like 41 to 42% water that we are losing in the system, because of the pipes being aging, because of meters that are leaking. We also have to put some meters, new meters, so that we stop these leakages, so that we stop this 41% water loss.
And very quickly, I mean, that talks to your competence as a department, because you would have had to foresee that these maintenance works had to be conducted on these pipes, but it got to a point where it's leaking and we're losing so much water. You also had the army come in to help you with the Vaal River contamination last year, and I'm still talking to you in 2019 about the same situation. You have nothing to be proud of.
Well, it talks to priorities. There was a stage whereby the municipality, like all other municipalities, remember, this is not the only issue. This is not the issue that's affecting Mfuleni, but many other municipalities. Maybe our priorities in the past were not solely focusing on these issues. No one was predicting that the pipes that we're having will be aging by this time. But yes, we agree. We should have put some plans before time in place to renew this infrastructure that we are having. So it was a little bit of a mistake on our side, not planning before. But now we are dealing with the issue, and we promise the communities that come April, there will be a different Mfuleni.
Yeah, it's been a very crucial mistake with very crucial consequences for your residents and other parts of the country. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. That is Bekinsele, the MMC here, of course, in Mfuleni. Thank you.